Hey guys, Luke Wilson here with another offseason outlook for you. Next up, Tony Pollard. All right, let's talk Tony Pollard. So, heading into 2023, there really weren't a lot of guys in fantasy football whose arrow was pointing up more sharply than Tony Pollard's was. After being kind of the Robin to Ezekiel Elliott's Batman in the Dallas backfield for several years, he was really expected to become kind of the every down back for Dallas post-Zeke. And really, last summer, he was a popular dark horse candidate for like a top 3 finish at the position after he and Zeke combined for 24 total touchdowns in 2022. So expectations were high. And while that did partially bear out as Pollard was able to amass career-high 307 total touches and 55 receptions, his efficiency as both a rusher and a receiver out of the backfield both cratered badly. And when you add on top of that, only getting to 6 total touchdowns despite having really near total control of this backfield, he was a huge disappointment for those of us that took him in the second round of fantasy drafts last August. And yet, coming off of a disappointing first showing as a lead back in the NFL heading into free agency, Pollard did not have to wait long at all to find his next home. He returns to his native Tennessee on a 3-year, $21 million deal on the day that NFL free agency opened. Now yes, while that deal did pale in comparison to those signed by bigger names at the position, it did come with almost half of its total value in guarantees, and in terms of average annual value, it's very comparable to the deals signed by like DeAndre Swift with the Bears and Derrick Henry with the Ravens. So to me, that suggests that Pollard should lead this backfield in touches in 2024. But unfortunately, that is about all we can say for sure here. Head coach Mike Vrabel and the somewhat underwhelming Tim Kelly are out, and Brian Callahan and his childhood chum, Nick Holtz, are in Tennessee. So while Derrick Henry and his death grip on the Titans' backfield is now a thing of the past, very likely so is the Titans' determination to grind teams to death with just a volume-based rushing attack. So Pollard will have to regain that per-play efficiency that made him a fantasy darling in 2022. If he can do that, and the size of this contract and the timing suggests that the Titans believe that he can, Derrick Henry leaves behind a whole lot of red zone touches at the position, and forced for the trees, the Titans just don't have a better solution for who to give those touches to than Pollard. Now on the dynasty front, it has been an absolutely brutal market crash for Pollard over the last 9 months. He was sitting at around the running back 6 in dynasty in September, his all-time high market value. He has crashed all the way down to right around the running back 30, so my condolences to my fellow dynasty owners that have ridden out that absolutely devastating market crash. But if you're shorthanded at running back in Dynasty and want to take a stab at Pollard, you can expect to scoop him for something around like a middle 2024 to 2025 second round pick, which I think is not bad. But I will say, if you're shorthanded on future picks or you just don't like to send them for veteran running backs like Pollard, which I totally understand, a lot of guys don't like to do that, I will say that for leagues that have already had their 2024 rookie drafts, I noticed that the market is really high on some of these kind of mid-range running back prospects out there right now. Kendre Miller, who's not a rookie, but Kendre Miller, Marshawn Lloyd, Blake Corum, these are all guys who, if you are trading with somebody that you know lives and dies by like dynasty trade calculators, are showing values straight across with Tony Pollard. So if you took one of those guys just because you needed to, get, guys, bodies at running back that had some down the road potential, go flip him for Tony Pollard right now. I love that value. A bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush at running back in Dynasty, folks, for sure. As for redraft, now obviously we're still a ways away from redraft ADP really solidifying, but right now Pollard is running at around like the 80th player off the board in like PPR redraft formats, which feels pretty right, feels pretty appropriate, as the RB23. And considering that has him coming off the board a couple rounds after guys like Isaiah Pacheco, James Cook, and Aaron Jones, personally, I am definitely leaning toward waiting a couple rounds on a guy like Tony Pollard as my RB2 in redraft leagues this year. The offseason outlook for Tony Pollard, it's close, I'm intrigued, but he is a hold.